We began the day by being served. Everyone who has prepared this event has been serving us for the past 8 hours. And throughout the day, every day of our life, we are being served. This morning, before the sun had risen, you received the service of electrical energy. You had a light in your house that you could prepare yourself for today. Likewise, all of us, I'm sure, looked for the shower because we wanted to have a hot shower if possible and to prepare ourselves to meet with each other here and not have odors of the body that are very disagreeable. We wanted to be presentable and to have a good relationship with everyone else. And at home, before you left, someone served you and gave you a good breakfast. And maybe you had to do the breakfast yourself, which is fine also. And then you left your home, and the majority of you, well, there was a bus waiting to serve you, to transport you from your house to your school. How else would you get here if you lived on, let's say, Calle 26 South? People like Mr. Melendro and Helbert, well, they come on a bicycle, and a few students do. But the majority of us are depending upon the service of a bus. And it's very interesting when we get to school. Well, most of us go to our locker to get our books, but there is a percentage of people who don't go to their lockers. They go to the cafeteria. Why do they go to the cafeteria? This is not lunch hour. No, because they were not served a breakfast at home. So students, teachers, secretaries, men of maintenance, as I go through the cafeteria in the morning, I'm surprised by the number of people who are having their breakfast. And the amigas are serving us. They are there smiling at us early in the morning to prepare the scrambled eggs, to prepare the chocolate that we'd like to have for breakfast, and then we are ready to begin our work in school. And when we get to the classroom, fortunately, every classroom has a professional teacher. And the job of the teacher is to serve the students. He didn't come there asking you to serve him. He came there and she came there knowing that they have an obligation to serve you. To let you know what has happened by your ancestors, even though we didn't know them, but we find out that we had people who went before us, and what they did is serving us today to have a very interesting life and hopefully a successful life. But that depends upon us, whether it's going to be successful or not, if we're going to receive the service that the teachers are giving us. And so on throughout the day. We have these services coming our way, and many times we don't even think of somebody is doing something for us. We take for granted that we are all alone. What happens in my life, I do. Really, it's my responsibility, and that it is. But without the service of other people, you would have really, I think, a life without purpose. You learn to set goals for yourself by the people who have served you, obviously beginning with your parents. But the school is an extension of your home. As we say, San Carlos is our second home. So we come here to continue our growth just as it had begun at our home. It's rather interesting how everybody in the school depends upon service. You might wonder, what would happen if you go home now at 2:05 and everybody else went home? What would we find tomorrow morning in school? Would we find the space prepared to have our breakfast at the cafeteria, to go to a classroom for a professional teacher to teach us, in a space that is been prepared, that the work can adequately be done? No one, I don't think, would want to go into the classroom that sometimes we find at the end of the day. Disorder, paper strewn all over the floor, books left in the classroom. You walk in and say, well, whose stuff is this? Why do we have to sit here in this mess? And you would have every reason to ask, why do we have to sit here in this mess? Fortunately, we have service. Las amigas, after we leave at 2:05, are finishing their lunch at the cafeteria. They eat after all of us are done. Then they come with their mops and their brooms to start cleaning up the school. Some clean the corridors, some are cleaning the bathrooms. Everybody gets into the classrooms and cleans, so we have an adequate place to begin our day of work and study. On Friday afternoons, men from the maintenance service, from the taller, they come and check all the desks. And, well, they smile at the artwork that they find on the desks. Some of it is quite interesting. And you know that if you sit down at a desk and there's something drawn on the desk, there's the temptation to take out your pen and make your additions to it. Sometimes, again, they're very interesting, but eventually it's a complete mess unless somebody comes and cleans it up. The service of the men of maintenance. The secretary, the nurses, everyone offers a service. We know that nobody likes to pay bills, but they have to be paid. But how much do I have to pay? Well, administration office prepares the cuentas like you got last Wednesday for the month of May, that you and your parents know that we owe this to the school for the service that they are giving our children, their education. They are collaborating with us, and we are recognizing this service by providing for them a salary with which to live. So all of us are receiving services all day long. Well, then there is kind of a strange thing in Colegio San Carlos. And that thing is called, I guess, director. I don't know why, but I guess it was since I was born. It was instilled into me by my parents that things have to be in order. Now, we did not live in a palace. I lived on a farm, just like many other campesinos in Colombia. We took care of the cows, we took care of the horses, we took care of the chickens, and all of these animals at some time or another were within a closed area, which was called a barn or a stable or the hen house or something like that. But these spaces had to be cleaned. The natural functions of animals, just like humans, that some parts of the body function in such a way to get rid of waste matter. Well, that has to be cleaned up. So we went to the barn and cleaned it up. That was our work. But we depended upon these animals in order to live. and I was never considered to be below our level to work with the animals. That was what we had to do, because they served us also. So I sort of feel the same way when I go down the corridor with the carrito in front of my office, pick up all the books and notebooks, because I don't think the amigas from the cafeteria have to bring them to my office or to wherever we would put them. So anyway, I picked those up. And then, well, we got a committee of environmental recycling. In every classroom, this committee has placed a box to put the paper to be recycled. They have also put the cut-off liter bottles of gaseosas, of pop, to put the plastic tops from the bottles, because these are very important for a certain sector of people. There is a foundation in Bogota that works with children with cancer. And they have devised various artistic ways of using bottle caps in decorating, whether it might be a maleta or whatever, which they in turn can sell in order to take care of the children who have cancer. But before this can ever happen, the top of the pop bottle has to go into the other bottle. The paper that's going to be recycled to make paper that can be used for many purposes, one of them, a very important use we have for that paper, is when you go to the bathroom. Most of the bathroom paper has been recycled, and we all need that paper. That's just the way we are. But it would make it so much easier for everyone if every student, every teacher, the rector of the school will put the paper where it should be. But no, I started last week to pick up the papers and look whose names are on them, to go to the classroom the next morning. This is your paper. I'm sure you want this because you threw it away. But if you threw it away, it should be in the recycling box, not on the floor. Hopefully, things will get better. Like the message we just heard from some of these people was, if something fails, do you give up, or do you try to look for some way that it is going to function? Well, I was thinking on the weekend, maybe we have to use all of the digital apparatuses everyone has in their hand, that's where you're going to read what you have to read, and so we don't need books. You put this in your pocket, take it out and read, put it back in your pocket. Why should the teachers take a pile of papers home to correct? Well, they should do it online, their tests. Send it to the teacher, and the teacher will send it back. There is no paper. But of course, I suppose these things have a cost. Somebody has to pay for that, huh? Maybe that's the solution. We have to go to extremes. I would call it an extreme. But speaking with a teacher from Los Andes University today who was here visiting, he said, yes, that is what we are doing at Los Andes. Everything is through digital communication. Papers are corrected, you get your papers back. You send your tests to the teacher through the same system. There's no paper involved. But his impression was we have to use both systems. There's just something about sitting down and writing, something that you have to say or have to work out a problem. And again, we heard this lady just telling us hers was poetry, to get her ideas across. Maybe she could have written it on a digital instrument of some sort, but she talked about writing, huh? At the monastery, we do a little bit of reading each day before we begin breakfast. And what we are reading right now, there was one morning, the author gave this bit of advice. Don't ever be afraid to write. You might say, well, what I'm going to write, that's all been written before. He said, no. There is no individual like you. You are the individual who's going to write this. And your input, your ideas are going to come through that. Maybe we have to write a book, or maybe we just write a phrase. Gregorio Diaz, at the beginning of the school year, assumed the responsibility to serve the students, the amigas, everyone, by putting up signs in the classrooms, in the bathrooms, how we are to use the space in which we are living. There was a service of Gregorio, and some of his writings and posters were very unique, very interesting, and he got his message across in a very positive and enjoyable way for the reader. We all got the message. The thing is now, are we going to put it into practice? We all have to have a dream that things are going to get better. My dream is, to a partial level, has been realized. I'll tell you this, when I first came to San Carlos in 1966, things were different than they are today. We did not have the gardens we have today. We did not have the buildings we have today, even though they looked more like bodegas than classrooms. But anyway, we have all of these things which I did not encounter when I first came. So I'm sure that maybe in the next 50 years, things are going to be much better. And I thank you for being with us today. It is a great pleasure to work with people of Colegio San Carlos, to serve you and you serving me, that we live in a society that is going to be better for future generations. Thank you very much.